Hey everybody, welcome to the Curious is Better podcast. I'm Craig Lamb with Invaded, and today we have a real good one. I'm with Jeremy Nielsen from Cando Rail. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And you and I have talked before. We missed each other a couple times over the holidays, but we got it together. We're able to talk today. But I'm going to jump right in if that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, you guys do first mile, last mile, right? So can you explain how you guys are handling like precision sorting, switching, things like that, um, in rail in general? Because
Yeah.
then we'll get into the tech stuff.
Yeah, you bet. For people outside the rail industry, understanding what first mile, last mile means is a little bit, it's weird. So I like to use the analogy. It's like an airport. The airlines like Delta and United, they don't want to deal with the baggage and the moving the planes up to the gate and dealing with all the stuff at the terminal. They just want to get on and fly the planes. So that's sort of where the class one railroads are these days. They're designed to operate in that space and they operate very well there. But they don't want to deal with shuffling cars and dealing with the complex nature of precision work inside of a plant. And that's where we live, sorting the cars, building the trains, spotting them exactly where they need to be
It's
safely
one
and
of
on.
the most crucial parts of rail.
Yeah, for the customer, certainly,
Right.
they need to load their product in the right car at the right time. And so they need us to be there and do it quickly and predictably and efficiently. And so, safe precision is our product. That's what we bring to the table.
Yeah. Now, when you and I spoke last year too, we were talking about how much you guys have grown, right? Ton of like 60 plus sites, you're over 1,000 employees. It's all organic, you and I talked specifically, we are talking about how does that hinder or does it, I should say, I don't want to lead this, but like as far as innovations and decision making, operations in the field and stuff, when you're growing at that, that velocity and there's so many things going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I've only been with Candy for just short of 3 years now. It's probably grown 20% in my short time here. It's very impressive, and the Candu's growth has been very much winning in yard operations with our customers, M&A, building our own terminals, basically bolting on assets to the network, not top down. And so that creates strong local ownership of those assets. But it makes at scale, it makes the consistency a challenge, making sure that it's the same across a network that's across North America, 60 sites across North America. So that decentralization gives you speed and agility and versatility, but it stretches the consistency, and that's the hard work is earning both of those.
Yeah, well, so how are there any secrets to it, or are you just kind of like as each day and each challenge, faces you, you're just like, okay, let's make sure that this gets across the border.
We
Top
talk
down.
about it a lot. So we have our various levels within the company meet constantly. The world changed in the last 5 years where we can have meetings like this daily. I'm working from a farm in rural Saskatchewan,
Yeah,
and I'm meeting with people all across North America an hour ago. So it's a lot of just call it face to face, but it's not really face to face anymore. So a lot of communication, and then corporate structure to do these things as well.
yeah.
Bulletins and newsletters and that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, one of the most interesting things when you and I first got hooked up and we were talking about like all the stuff that we're doing in AI and workflows and stuff like that, you're an industrial engineer, right? You're not
Right,
like a typical rail guy, right? So
right.
that's why I was always interested in picking your brain. Is like, how do you liken yourself to seeing the world a little bit differently because of your engineering background and the stuff that you like? Because we can get into it too. We talked about, process design and the workflows, automation stuff that you're working on, and like some of the different things like risk mitigation and things like that. Do you think that your background has changed or makes it different? Your viewpoint a little bit different than typical?
I would think so. There's a lot of similarities. Yeah, so you're right. My formal training is industrial engineering, systems engineering, but my background was mostly in oil field, mostly drilling and fracking. Well enhancement technology projects overseas, all over the place. High pressure, literal high pressure wells, and then high pressure projects. Where where the cost of being wrong is enormous. You've all heard of everybody's heard of Deepwater Horizon and those kind of things. That's you don't get to be wrong on those projects. And so one of the things I learned in the drilling world was that the plan works until the work starts, and then you see all the problems with your plan. And rail is similar. You're dealing with massive amounts of stored energy and mass and momentum, tight yards, fatigued people in bad weather, and machines with thousands of moving parts. And the safe outcome of these operations depends less on memorizing a bunch of rules and more on the decision making of imperfect people with the information that they have at the time. And so technology can't replace uh, this sort of decision making, but it can enhance it.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the things that you see opportunities in your industry specifically? Because you know where I lean, right? I lean towards I like always look towards process automations and things like that. Things that that don't require the nuance of human thinking, right? There's conditional or circumstantial stuff, but there is stuff that could be just done for them,
Yeah,
or do you see anything that's glaring opportunities in rail and switch stations that you think automation could help, or stuff that maybe you're working on? If you don't want to let the cat out of the bag, that's cool too.
yeah, sure. Kind of a few things that um, not necessarily Cando is working on, but the industry specifically is working on, or general is working on, are AI systems, sensors, and telemetry to notice defects in cars. So drive a car through an array of sensors, and it'll tell you that there's a hot bearing or some defect in a car that will prevent it from derailing going 60 miles an hour down a main line. So that's the industry is really leaning on those tools, uh, trying to develop them. And we don't live in that space, so that's not what we're working on in our company. I think it was late. I'd call it late 2024. Our CEO stood up an AI committee. So a
Mhm,
very interesting, diverse group of people across the company, from operations to say locomotive people to HR and training department, safety department. We all got together. A group of us got together and we started investigating what AI tools would be useful for Candu. And we batted around dozens of different ideas, and we settled down on two main ones. And one I sort of earlier to you likened it to be the Palantir of our safety system. And so Candu's been around since the 70s. We've got hundreds of thousands of safety records. A lot of them are handwritten in the field.
mhm.
Uh, and the amount of information there has grown to be uh, too much information for a human to process effectively. Um, and so we were thinking we could implement an AI to look at this massive amount of information and surface insights that we couldn't see. And so we started doing that, and we didn't get too far with that. We had a couple of proof of concepts that went okay. We were able to replicate some human intelligence, um, say reporting that we've done. Like, here's a bunch of incidents. We figured out what happened in these ones. So AI, can you see the same thing? And it was close. We found out that the AI could read handwriting. It could understand when a picture applied to an incident was different than the statements, which surprised me. That was
Mhm.
interesting. We found that it could find some links between things that the humans were able to pick up. But our big issue with the way our proof of concepts and the way we were going with that was we found it without going through the work of vectoring or grounding the commercial LLM, we couldn't we couldn't rely on the data. And
Yeah.
so
Well, and you and I got into this before because I always debate too. Is like this is a case study for why you do MVPs, right? To prove these things out, these models out, rather than just trying to do a rollout and you fail and you're like, oh, I was going to say, shit, but I don't think I can. Maybe go bleep it. But like doing these MVPs so that you can have some practical testing, like that, like just at that beta level, some testing to make sure that it makes sense. So like I completely empathize with struggling to try to find those rollouts, especially with the AI things. And it's not uncommon to use some modeling when you're talking about very dense text as an example, right? Because then there's circumstantial stuff, right? You and I talked about this before. It could be not only training and safety, but it could be like for predicted weather, stuff, things like that, right? And that is way too much to ingest in the moment, which is a perfect case study for the use.
Yeah, absolutely. That we like to say that our role is an outdoor team sport. We got to do it outside, and we got to do it together. And so having applying technology that gives our people better information in real time that they can use while they're working under pressure conditions. Um, that was an issue we had. Was the we've all anybody who's using LLM has seen it where the AI is confidently wrong,
Hmm.
and being confidently wrong in a safety critical position is worse than being silent.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. Hey, are you seeing anything? We did a project a number of years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, for IoT on railcar braking systems, for failures in braking systems, and that was passenger, right?
Yeah.
Not freight. Are you seeing anything like that emerging in some of the cars that are coming through? Switch seats.
Not Yeah, we deal in freight
Yeah,
exclusively. So nothing that I'm aware of yet, other than these in mechanical yards inspecting cars. So an automated inspection
sure,
system.
sure. Yeah, that's and is that new shiny thing you think for 2026 for car inspection? You were talking about for empty car inspection. What are you talking about for safety inspection? You talking about
Uh, Safety inspect. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what the rules are going to allow. So right now, a very common thing is they call it a drive-by or a roll-by. So
hmm
experienced carmen will just stand and watch cars go by and listen to them.
right.
And if they hear an issue or see an issue, they will tell the train and they stop and they fix it. So um, there is a lot of work going into automating that or technology into that aspect and taking it away from the human ear, if you will.
hmm Well, you stumbled onto a topic too that you and I talked about when, I get into like design mode. I start pitching all these different ideas, like, oh, have you thought about this or you thought about that? And you talk about things with rail in particular about electronic distraction. Talk about this way. But I don't even think rail drivers are allowed a cell phone or anything, are they? I mean, I don't think they are.
They are
Well,
not.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're not. They're they're allowed to have a cell phone. Oh, I shouldn't say this. It's different for every company.
Yeah,
But our people are allowed to use it or to have a cell phone, but they can't use it while they're in a movement. So the distraction is too high of a risk.
right.
Uh, so in theory, if you're distracted while you're operating a train, like texting and driving, you could kill somebody or derail the train. So yeah, that is an issue in our industry. That's why there's a lot of paper records. We can't have electronic devices in the yard.
Yeah, but it's just kind of a weird, almost contradiction, right? So if you have to struggle your way through paper where it could be
Yeah.
presented, right? It's what it is it's the allure of going beyond what you need to do and being distracted by the nice and shiny stuff,
Yeah,
like the
absolutely. It's
technology and stuff.
the rule makes sense. It eliminates a distraction, but the unintended consequence is in a paper system. It can't be searched or audited or learned from easily. And the future isn't going to be tablets in the rail industry everywhere. It's going to be specialized digital role based tools that are not used during critical tasks, but after or before. And these things don't need to be opposites; they can work together. It's a pretty common statement that safety without insight is just luck, and you need to
Yeah,
be able to
for
search
sure.
the information
Well,
to
we've
find
done
that.
projects too in telematics that it's like if the accelerometer sees movement, the app won't load. And
Yeah.
then the digital, like whatever the device is limited to only the apps, which you can control on Android, iOS. Good luck. But I mean, like, but I hear you. I think that's an important thing. Looping back to the MVP for safety, what I was curious about is that again, it's 60 locations, right? And it's which is awesome. And then there is leadership, and leadership seems to be the catalyst for some of these different technical initiatives. I imagine those ideas get to their desk by anybody in the field, right?
Mhm.
The communication can come really from any direction.
Mhm.
If it has merit, they'll investigate it. But how have you seen in companies kind of set up like yours? And I mean the structure of it. There's so many different locations across such a big area. Is that what is the what is the process? Not any particular project, but what do you think that process looks like in successfully and then unsuccessfully for like maybe advice to others? It's like if you're set up like this when you're doing technical projects, how they could be launched effectively and how leadership kind of dispenses innovations.
Uh, Interesting question.
Exploded,
It's
right? I mean, sure.
yeah,
It's there, a lot there to unpack.
it's
You
like
want to take a sip of water?
deep thoughts.
Yeah,
Candy. Um, it, I spent most of it, as we talked about a little earlier, being an engineer, especially in the oil industry. For whatever reason, I was always thrown into the new technology stuff. So the bleeding edge of technology. Go try these new things, and I really like that. That's an interesting part of the job. And um, I've always found my personal opinion is technology doesn't fail because the technology isn't good. It's because it was implemented incorrectly, and they didn't consider the human factor.
no
The
wiser words have been said, my friend.
humans, especially in roles like I work with, people on the ground, imperfect humans making tough decisions in tough conditions. The technology needs to support them, doesn't need to replace them. That's not where anybody needs to go. But being able to find information and surface it and give people better information at the time they're making decisions is where technology shines.
Yeah. I'd love to see more digital solutions in rail and some of the other companies that we're working with and talking to because I don't know the stat, but like the attrition rate's pretty high, right?
It is, yeah. I don't know what it's like at the class ones, but
Yeah.
for us, we, we know that when we hire a bunch of trainees, we're going to see a 25% attrition rate,
25%.
yeah, of people who don't make it 90 days. Uh, and so that's high.
Yeah.
And it's when I dig into that, I when I got into this job, I was shocked at that. That seems crazy to me. And when I started digging into it, it's not that people are failing. It's there's a misalignment with what they think the job is and what it actually is. Um, and you can imagine you on paper these people could probably do the job, and on a good day they probably can. But the bad days are when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's minus 40 Fahrenheit and there's snow blowing and
Like
a
right
blizzard
now.
like this week tonight. And it's pitch dark. You can't even see your shoes, and there's a
Yeah.
train rolling by you, and you're hearing those couplers make joint. That's when it gets real, and it's scary, and it's not for everybody. So we
Mhm.
know that 25% of people that we hire uh, today, without changing anything, are probably not going to make it. They're going to just decide this career is not for them.
Yeah, and that loops us back to what you and I talked about late last year. Is right. We were talking about the training stuff and using AI to present the stuff quicker is because attrition rate being high, and then knowledge share, not just tribal knowledge, but procedural knowledge and workflow knowledge. It's like you have to be able to have a vehicle to dispatch that information efficiently because the cycles are so frequent, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's that misalignment between what people think the job is going to be, who don't, you're not rail people, and what it actually is. Is there an opportunity to use VR or simulations or AI to better that alignment, to reduce that attrition rate? Potentially, there's companies out there that are doing things in that space. I've talked to a few of them. It's interesting. I don't know that it's going to help, but I want to investigate it more.
Yeah. Well, I want to wrap up with just an overall view of what I've learned about Jeremy too, is because I think it's great. Is that so you run operations, you have a 2,000-acre farm, I think it is 2,000 acres, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you've done AI concepts for agriculture, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you see as the next wave of technology that's coming? Either for you on the farm or in rail, just in general, like from your purview, what do you think is the next non-hype but really effective wave of tech?
Uh, so yeah, another good question. In the farm space, I've said this for a long time to any farmer that listened to me is I think we've reached peak bigness in farm. I don't think the machines can get any bigger. The roads aren't bigger. The bridges aren't taller. So we've reached the maximum amount of air seeder size or combine size. And I think the next thing is smaller autonomous vehicles. So a fleet of 10 things out doing what one big thing does now.
Like
And the
robots.
farmer, yeah, robots, yeah, exactly. And the farmer sits back in the house on a computer. Unfortunately, all of my 50-year-old farmer friends hate this idea that they're not in the field anymore.
Yeah.
But I do think in 10 years, that's 20 years, we're gonna be
Yeah. So similar
farming.
to like the vacuums and lawnmowers that are going
Yeah,
out there right now. I saw a robot snowblower,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah,
I,
interesting.
I do. You know, they have it now. There's the little drones. They're not little; they're big drones, but they fly around spraying crops.
Hmm.
I do think we're going to go that way. But then in the rail industry, I think the rail industry in general underestimates how profoundly technology is going to change the decision making uh, processes in the next 10 years. It's going to, in my opinion, it's going to change that decision making more than it changes the tools or the
I
equipment.
completely agree.
um, yeah, and it's going to, like I was saying before, it's going to enhance the ability for people in the field to make better decisions with better information, not replace people. The
Yeah, I always
future.
tell I always tell people if you implement it correctly, all the things about your job where you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to do this, right? Because it's not stimulating you. If it's frustrating you, it's not stimulating you. So that means
Yeah,
like it's repetitive and it's something that could be, kind of learned by a bot or something like that to work through those things. And it frees your mind to actually think strategically, use your time more efficiently, not be frustrated at the end of the day. Like if you do 8 hours of work and you could do it in 4, it's good,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Should be. You would think so.
If you think so.
Yeah. No, that my opinion is that the future of rail isn't less human; it's better supported humans with better information, supporting decisions made in real time.
I agree. Hey, listen, Jeremy, I want to thank you for joining. This was a great conversation. I always appreciate talking to you. Uh, everybody, again, this is Cando Rail. Jeremy Nielsen. Look him up on LinkedIn. And thanks for everybody for listening.
Thank you very much, Craig. It was nice talking to you.